Energy is an integral part of our lives. It helps us do things. It cooks our food and heats our water. It gives light and runs our appliances. It gets us from one place to another. It is a basic need. In the Pacific, as in other regions, energy powers the drivers of economic growth, such as manufacturing, infrastructure development, fisheries, transportation, and communication technologies. It is estimated that the Pacific Island countries consume about 40,000 barrels of fuel daily. Fossil fuel made up 85% of the total energy supply in the Pacific Island countries and territories in 2006. Oil alone contributed 76%. The situation has not changed in recent years as the countries continue to rely heavily on fossil fuel.
Palau has always been dependent on fossil fuel. We're actually 99% dependent on fossil fuel.
At this time, our source of generation is 100% dependent on fuel, diesel, zero on renewable energy, and we are currently serving 6,500 customers.
Transport accounts for the largest percentage of petroleum use in Pacific Island countries and territories, about 42% in Papua New Guinea, 54% in Fiji, and 75% on average for other countries. Electricity generation typically accounts for 20% or more of Pacific Islands' petroleum consumption. Without energy, there can be no sustainable communities, and the Pacific is no exception. Pacific leaders recognize that energy security is crucial for economic growth and human development. Pacific Forum leaders, Forum Economic Ministers, and the Pacific Ministers of Energy have called for effective solutions to addressing the region's energy challenges. In 2010, Forum leaders endorsed a 10-year framework that calls for action on greater energy security in the region. Energy security exists when all people at all times have access to sufficient sustainable sources of clean and affordable energy and services to enhance their social and economic well-being. The energy security challenges in the Pacific relate to access, affordability, efficiency, and environmental quality. With regard to access, about 7 million people out of the region's 10 million still do not have access to electricity. In Papua New Guinea, about 10% of the population have access to electricity. In Solomon Islands, 25%, and in Vanuatu, 30%. 20% of the electricity generated in 2010 came from renewable sources, while 80% was from diesel. Macroeconomic affordability can be measured in terms of fuel imports as a percentage of gross domestic product. All Pacific Island countries' economy are vulnerable to world market fossil fuel price volatility. However, countries like Cook Islands and the Republic of Marshall Islands are the most vulnerable to world price volatility compared to other Pacific Island countries. Energy efficiency and productivity can be measured through indicators such as energy intensity and production power use. With regard to energy intensity, countries falling above the average trend line have a higher energy consumption level, hence are identified as the less efficient ones. The linkage between energy use and environment is an important one. To get an indication of the quality of environment, it is important to measure the carbon footprint and diesel fuel quality. Countries such as Palau, Cook Islands and Niue have been found to be high emitters of carbon dioxide compared to other Forum Island countries. The Pacific region has unique geographical characteristics with its small islands dispersed over an area of ocean about 4 times the size of China. These immense distances translate to extremely high costs for goods and services, including petroleum products that the islands depend on for much of their energy. There are a number of factors that determine the final retail prices across the Pacific. High transport shipping costs, multiple inter-island handling and small shipment sizes all combine to push fuel prices upward, particularly in the smaller and more remote markets in the region. As a result, fuel prices are noticeably higher in countries like the Cook Islands, Marshall Islands and Palau. Most countries except for Fiji, Samoa and Papua New Guinea rely almost exclusively on imported petroleum for electric power generation.
And as such, if we compare the power tariff in the region to those of other regions, for example the Caribbean, we are among the region with just about the highest power tariff.
Pacific Island economies are also vulnerable to drastic changes to global oil prices such as increases. Fiji reported the highest inflation rate since the 1990s, when the price of crude oil traded at over $150 a barrel in 2008. The Framework for Action on Energy Security in the Pacific is in its second year of implementation. Stakeholders and partners' efforts to achieve energy security in the region have gained momentum, with the United Nations declaring 2012 as the International Year of Sustainable Energy for All. The region's leading education institution, the University of the South Pacific, addresses the component of capacity building and training in the Framework for Action on Energy Security in the Pacific.
We are right at the heart of building that kind of regional capacity in the different areas. And all of these projects actually have a capacity building component, whether it's at the community level or in the form of undergraduate, postgraduate, master's research. I think for the Pacific, renewable energy and sustainable energy is no longer an option. If you look at the amount of money, the amount of the country's GDP that's spent on fuel import, it's a very significant amount and it's highly unsustainable. It draws money from the things that the country should be using the money for. So I think from that point of view, renewable energy and much more sustainable energy is no longer an option. It's something we absolutely have to do for development.
The Framework for Action on Energy Security in the Pacific promotes, quote, whole-of-sector, unquote, approach based on the concept of, quote, many partners, one team, unquote. This approach recognizes that many stakeholders contribute to energy security in the region and accepts them as equal partners. One such partner is the International Union for Conservation of Nature, IUCN. The IUCN's Energy, Ecosystems and Sustainable Livelihoods Initiative works towards assisting the countries of the Pacific to accelerate the transition to renewable energy and energy efficiency systems that are ecologically efficient, sustainable and socially equitable. The initiative has renewable energy and energy efficiency projects in Vanuatu, Republic of the Marshall Islands, Samoa, Tonga, Tuvalu and Palau.
The Palau National Development Bank is implementing this home loan energy efficiency program where the new homeowners that go to the bank and require loan have to have certain energy efficiency measures incorporated into their loan. So the component that we provided, the bank helped subsidize the energy efficiency measures. And in Palau, there's quite a huge uptake in this program. And the impact in Palau are quite huge.
In the Marshall Islands, the project involves removing energy inefficient streetlights.
The savings are quite considerable right here. According to the information that we receive from the power utility is managing this project. They're able to reduce the cost, the operational cost of of one street light from 7 US cents to 0.05 cent. I mean, that's amazing.
The Secretariat of the Pacific Community is the lead coordinating agency in the energy sector in the Pacific. Its scope of work in energy covers several broad themes. These include coordination and facilitation of accountability and cooperation in the energy sector, advisory support to Pacific Island countries and territories to better plan and manage their energy sectors, petroleum advisory aimed at fair, cheaper, cleaner, more cost-effective and more reliable supplies, productive uses of renewable energy for economic development and project management supplement and coordination, energy efficiency in the transport sector and coordination of regional energy and mitigation funding proposals, and the monitoring and evaluation of the energy sector. SPC's focus in renewable energy covers policy and advisory work. One such project is the installation of hardware in Palau, Marshall Islands and Federated States of Micronesia, where SPC is installing solar voltaic systems in some of the schools and health centers in the outer islands.
We are also providing technical assistance in terms of our database work, where we collect and analyze data which help countries to realize how much of their total energy supplies, for example, are derived from renewable energy. And such work is crucial for the countries in order to monitor how they progress in terms of trying to increase the share of renewable energy that they use.
Regulating the quality, supply and distribution of energy sources and energy use is a challenge for the Pacific. A lot of work is required to put in place regulatory frameworks that are conducive to the sustainable provision of clean and affordable energy. Energy will continue to remain a vital part of people's lives as Pacific Islands develop economies to improve the livelihood of their people. Energy security is fundamental to achieving the social and economic aspirations outlined in the regional leaders' vision known as the Pacific Plan. It has a cross-cutting nature and requires the mobilization of all stakeholders, including those outside the energy sector, to work together to achieve an energy-secure Pacific.